Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the microphone messiah, and you are listening to Complexx Conversations. Haven't done one of these in a little bit, man. Last one I did was a Degrassi podcast. Go check that out in our archives. But yeah, man, this is the first ever video for the Complexx Conversations video interview I'm doing. If you're listening to this, go check it out on YouTube. It's really great. I'm doing it with my boy Jon Sturholm, the greatest wrestler in Mountain High School history, guys. Probably the greatest athlete in Mountain High School history. Football, baseball, wrestling.
Easy.
What's going on, man? How you been?
Yeah, things are good. You know, quarantine is the same as it's been the last 3.5 months. But yeah, life is good. I'm getting some extra time during unemployment to focus on some other passions and really get a chance to kind of find some me time. So it's been nice.
Absolutely, man. Go check out Team Talks wherever you get podcasts. They're supported by Anchor, like your boy is. Jon he talked me into going on Anchor. That's why both Bulletcast and Complexx Conversations are on there, and I've persuaded other people to go on Anchor. So
it's just so easy to use. It's so easy. Like it's literally click, and it's out there streaming everywhere.
Absolutely, and people say, oh, they're not going to last because they're free. Well, Spotify just bought them and the deal they gave Rogan, so Anchor's doing pretty big things, and it's only been around for 5 years. That's dope. All right, so this is I've been wanting to do this for quite some time since I got into podcasting, and since I got into coaching. If you don't know, I'm a wrestling coach in my old high school where Jon and I graduated from. He was actually the captain of my wrestling team when I wrestled there. But the Coach's Lounge edition of Complexx Conversations, I've wanted to do this with the guys that I coach with now. One of them is Jon's dad, Justin, and our coach, Rose. I wanted to do it with them. But, you know, due to quarantine, I can't really get to them right now, and I don't think Rose is the most technical savvy guy out there.
Yeah, he's a science teacher.
He's a science teacher. So I figured, why not start off with Jon, since he's just gotten into the coaching game in about the past, 6 months or a year, something like that, right?
Yeah, so I started my first official high school coaching job last year with a football season. So I'm just coming up on about a little more than a year of coaching now. I'm in my second year with football, and obviously that's got all of its complications that comes with this quarantine and not being able to practice and stay-at-home orders. So it's been definitely an interesting year to start, but hopefully we'll be able to get our guys out there soon enough. And then I also helped coach the wrestling program at Pueblos High School out in Goleta, California, right outside Santa Barbara. Yeah, they got a good group of guys there, and yeah, I've really enjoyed my time so far, and I'm looking forward to the next few years there.
Absolutely, man. So, I mean, I talked to Rose and your dad, and they said, you know, we will have a season. It starts in November. I don't know if that's the same for you guys.
It's tough because everything is based on a district decision. So once California makes its mind up, then each county has to make their mind up, and then once the county makes their mind up, each school district has the power to decide when they come back. So it's different all across the board in California.
For sure. So I guess where I want to start is, what made you become a coach, and how'd you get involved?
I think anybody who gets into coaching is because they had some kind of influence from coaches in their past. I grew up playing sports. I've been playing sports since I was 5 years old. You know, baseball, football, wrestling. I was a collegiate cheerleader, and there comes a point when you decide that your time as an athlete has come to an end, but you still have that itch and that drive to be around the ball or be around the mat and just be on the field and get more. You know, be more invested and really just give back. Because I had some amazing coaches throughout my years, and I mean, you don't realize how much you appreciate them, how much of an impact they've had on you until you get older and you realize, yeah, Coach P was probably one of the most influential coaches I had, my high school football coach. And what I learned from my dad and Rose, and even the coaches that I necessarily didn't like, I learned what I didn't like and what kind of coach I didn't want to be. So I think just those things gave me a good foundation, being I really want to give back to and get involved and try and make the same kind of impact that other coaches had an impact on me.
Absolutely. So you started coaching football first, correct?
Right.
All right. So how did that come about? Did you just apply? Did they or what happened?
Yeah, basically, I reached out because I was doing this program at UCSB finishing up, and I was like, I got some free time. Like, I know I want to coach once I graduate. I'm going to start like my last quarter, put my foot in the door. Message the head coach at a local high school, and I was like, hey, I'm interested in coaching. I'd love to meet with you. And he sent me an email back, and he was like, oh, we're kind of fully staffed, but I'd love to meet with you anyway. Come in, we'll talk, and we'll see what happens. And I was like, cool, because I'm the type of person like I just got to meet you. Like once I start talking to you, once I start meeting you, talk to me about this, explain this. Like that's a lot easier for me. I feel like I'm more personable like in person than on paper. So I got to meet with him, talk some football. He realized, yes, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not some guy who just wants to coach football. Like I played and I'm knowledgeable. And he basically was like, yeah, sure, start coming out to spring ball practices and help out with the quarterbacks because they didn't really have a quarterback coach in the program at all. They had a guy who maybe played a little bit when he was younger and didn't really know what he was doing. But yeah, so I just brought on just basically as quality control just for the quarterbacks. And I didn't know if I was going to be a freshman coach, a JV coach, varsity coach. He was like, we'll just play by ear. We'll see what happens. And by the end of the summer, me just spending time with the other coaches and with the kids and getting a coach, he decided he wanted to keep me up on varsity. And I basically got to spend the whole year on varsity as like the offensive coordinator's kind of assistant, where I worked with the quarterbacks and just kind of was the rebound, like bouncing ideas off of the offensive coordinator and looking at the iPad at the plays that just happened and being like, oh, look, I'm seeing this, like check this out, like if you want to call something over here. So yeah, it was definitely a great opportunity for a first year coach to slide into like a varsity level position and kind of not have any specific responsibilities and roles, but just kind of get to bounce around and help wherever needed. So I had a great time with it.
That's what's up, dude. I knew you played football. I think you were the captain at Mount Eden, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I only dealt with you in the wrestling realm because we wrestled together, obviously. But that's cool to hear, like your passion for that game. Now let's get into the wrestling aspect. How did you become a coach for that?
I was already around the school, already around the program, and last year's wrestling team actually had a new head coach for the first time in like 20-something years. The head coach was retiring or moving or something like that, and he built up this awesome program. They were already like 5-time repeating like league champs, and they had some studs on the team that were ranked in the state bracket. And I was just like, hey, like basically there's a new coach. He needs help. And I was like, hey, I'm coaching football right now, but if you need any help, like I'd love to be around. And he was like, yeah, sure. And I ended up being the head JV coach. Just like kind of walking into the program. I had my own practice. I got my own setup with my freshmen, my sophomores, a couple juniors. And I basically just ran the entry level stuff, teaching kids the basics of wrestling, how to shoot, how to sprawl, technique, like the technique foundation until they could get to the point where they could go to the varsity room.
I know you're teaching kids how to throw some laterals, man.
You know how hard it was to not?
Dude.
I had to hold back because, when I was a freshman, I was just chucking whatever. I'd try and grab somebody, try and throw them. I had horrible technique and everything, and like it took me a year or two to really buckle down and be like, okay, I need to know that these are the moves I need to learn. I can't just throw everybody. And then I got good enough where I could throw everybody, and then I just started doing that. But yeah, they definitely were like, we want to learn throws, but technique-wise, those more elite, high skill level moves, I was like, yeah, you guys will get there. When you get in the varsity room, they'll start breaking that down for you.
Man, you guys don't know. John was nice. He would just set up a lateral and just throw it and just let him go and do it again.
Man, I definitely miss it. And that's another plus, too. I'm wrestling with the JV. I'm old and out of shape now. And, like, my cardio is awful for wrestling. And I'm, like, popping in when I can, wrestling with some of the guys a little bigger than me. And all the freshmen kids, oh, man, I don't want – coaches like, oh, hop in with you. He's like, oh, no. So it's definitely fun. I wouldn't say beating up on them, but, rolling around with some of the newer guys because – it's fun to teach little things as you go, like while you're in person. You remember things. I gotta jog my memory. I haven't wrestled in like 5 or 6 years, so Gotta like jog the memory while I'm in there. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that this is how you do this, or like, oh yeah, there's this move. So I think definitely being on the mat with those guys was helpful to re-jog that.
Yeah, man, wrestling's that one thing, or with any sport, but I feel it more with wrestling. You're around it, you get that itch. Yeah, I got my shoes in the car. Let me go get them. Let me step on the mat and all this other stuff. And then next thing you know, like me, like I just wound up coaching. I don't know how it happened. I popped in every now and again, and I'm working with Rose and your dad, and it's fun, man. I can't give him a marathon. I can't go a whole match. I'll give him 30
Oh,
seconds.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You need some more. Oh yeah, I'll pop in. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, I need a break. That's what I do. I'm taking it easy.
Absolutely, dude. So, what aspects of coaching do you really enjoy, and then what aspects do you not enjoy so much?
I think what I really enjoy is the relationships that I get to build with the kids. I really like the high school level and those ages, and just the kind of line between professional and personal that you get to build with the kids. Where I'm also a substitute teacher, so I have seen kids as like a more work professional role. But I mean, there's just some great kids, and I'm a young coach, and it's easy to connect with me, maybe as opposed to some of the other coaches. So I just really like the opportunity I got to build that kind of fun relationship with the kids where there's respect, but there's also like a time to play games and have some fun. Wrestling, you go out to breakfast or whatever after you weigh in, hanging out and kind of bullshitting with the guys. Like I miss that, So I love that I was able to incorporate and bring that to them. But yeah, I think that's the best part. Just like the relationships you get to build with the kids and the growth that you get to see them. And like even in 1 year, like I had guys in the room that made it to the varsity room that wrestled at the end of the season for varsity, in the dual tournament, and like they had a great opportunity, like just as freshmen, they had some good talent and they got to get in there. So I think seeing the growth over just 1 year and then hopefully over a series of years, that's what I love, just seeing how great these kids can get and how much they grow as like athletes and as like students and as people, and seeing kids graduate, like it's just great.
Absolutely, absolutely. I kind of feel that too with the kids we've had in the room since I've been there. You develop these relationships with the kids, like you say. You get to BS bullshit with them or whatever. But it's nice to see these kids achieve like success on the mat, and then after they graduate, whatever endeavors they get into, when they basically go into adulthood, you could say.
Right.
So with that being said, like, what aspects of coaching do you not enjoy?
It's just so hard. That's so hard because I mean, I guess being like a lower level coach, or like I definitely had a different experience with like football than with wrestling. I like the elite part of the sports. Like I was a varsity athlete basically all through high school, and I was a captain, and I had the opportunity to kind of compete at a high level. So working with the younger wrestlers and kind of being repetitive, like teaching a guy how to shoot, teaching a guy how to sprawl gets a little tiring. I wish I could get in there a little more, or like have a little more contribution with like the scheduling, or like just things like that. That I'm just like not a head coach yet. I'm not running a program. I don't have those kind of luxuries to decide when practice is and how practice is run, and everything like that. So I think, and that's just like me, just like being like a control guy. Like even as a captain, like our senior, I was like basically running practices from like the captain position, and the coaches were able to just coach. So it's just different being on the other side of that. So I think overall, just I want to have, like, now that I'm in, I want to be all the way in. I want to get in. I want to help with the scheduling. I want to help with the practice plan. I want to help with this. I want to help with that. And just having good communication with the coaches above will help lead to that, I think.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, from my aspect, it's like Rose told me, you're the enforcer. You enforce these rules. So, a kid misses practice. All right, dude, give me 50 sprawls. And I've had kids get up there to owe me like 200 or 300. I don't like to be a bad guy. I mean, sometimes, it's absolutely necessary for. I think it's just the being the disciplinarian. That's the one where like the kids will mouth off to you like, dude, I don't want to do this. Stuff like that, man.
Yeah, I think there's a line too because you don't want conditioning to be a punishment. You know, like the whole goal of wrestling or football or anything is you want to be conditioned to perform your best. So it should be a part of practice. It should be involved in everything you're doing. And when punishment is conditioning, then it's just negative because it's like, oh, I don't want to make you do this conditioning because you're supposed to do this conditioning anyway. You know, like so it's hard with punishments and conditioning. I think it's hard to find another motivating punishment though. You know, other than some kind of a physical. You know, you got to run or you got to sprawl or you got to Iron Man or whatever it may be.
King of the mat,
King of the mat.
whatever you got to do. So I mean, do you find it because with my experience, some kids they don't know how to like stop joking around and it's time to get to work. Do you have that problem?
Oh, definitely. I think every high school coach in the world has that program, like that problem with their program. There's because you got class clowns, you got the funny guys, you got the guys who get by in high school by doing that. And that's totally fine. Everybody's got their own personality, everybody's got their own thing, but I think that's where having a relationship with the kids really comes in. Is they learn to respect you and respect the team, the situation. I love laughs. I love being funny. I love cracking jokes and roasting. I grew up with my dad, so I love all of that. But there's a time when, hey, you guys are teammates. You guys are brothers. You can't be roasting and cracking down on this at this time. You guys are in the locker room. You guys are BSing, whatever. That's fine. But when we're on the field or we're on the mat and we're going through like something serious or we're at an event, if we're at a game or a tournament, you gotta turn that stuff off. You gotta know when the right time, when the wrong time to play around is. And I think just developing those relationships with the kids really gives you an advantage in that department where they don't just respect you because you're in a position of authority. They respect you because of like who you are and how you interact with them. And I think that goes a long way with high school kids.
Absolutely, man. It's kind of like a family atmosphere, a second family. At least I felt that
Yeah,
way. I felt that way when I did wrestle, and I do feel that with the kids we bring in and that are with us for 2 to 3 or all 4 years of high school. It's a family atmosphere. We joke around, but at the same time, when it's time to be serious, it's go time. We got to turn it off.
yeah, and I think that's the coach's job to build that kind of environment and that sense of family. Because these kids, I mean, you're not gonna get along with every kid. Every teammate's not gonna be your best friend. That's totally fine. When you guys are on the mat, you guys are on the field, when you guys are at practice, games, whatever, you guys are teammates. You guys are brothers. You gotta or sisters. You guys gotta be a part of this team and give what you got for this team. Outside of this, you guys can not be cool, part your ways. You don't got a head nod or handshake in the hallways. You can do whatever you want. But I think it's up to the coaches to really instill that in their teams, and like the kids can only benefit from that.
Absolutely. I mean, from when we did it, and then from what I've seen going back, I don't really see kids having problems with each other because of the duration of a season is like 3.5 months, and you're together like 5 days or sometimes 6 days a week for all that time. Then you kind of just have to get along. I mean, do you have that problem with kids where they just don't like each other at all for the whole season?
I wouldn't say the whole season. I mean, high school kids, hormones are kicking, and the guys are tough, and somebody does something like, especially in football, we had some guys like straight throw down on the field during practice, like swinging on each other. And as a coach, we're technically not supposed to like be physical, like separating that situation. So it's like, hey, come on, like knock it. What are you guys doing? Like, and they finish it, and the other kids got kind of get in between, separate them. And we're like, you guys done? And then that happens. These two kids who like are kind of cool with each other too. Like they're kind of friends. They're not like the closest friends, but like they play games and they mess with each other, and they would like sit next to each other on the bus. Like things like that. So like it's annoying, but also completely understandable because when you have brothers and you have family like that, you're gonna fight. You're gonna bump heads. You're gonna have your egos tested. And some kids just don't grow up getting their ego checked. They might not have a figure in their life that puts them in check. So when they get in that situation with another kid who doesn't have a figure who puts them in check, then it's gonna pop off. But the kids are gonna fight. They're gonna argue, and it's more about the pre and the post. I think with coaching is like, how do you tell them, hey, don't do this? But after it happens, how do you handle that situation? You sit them down. Hey, what happened? He said this. He said this. Okay, why'd you respond that way? Well, he said this, and I know he said that. How'd you respond that way? He's like, I shouldn't have responded that way. He's like, yeah, I shouldn't have either. Then they shake down, they squash it, like they're good, buddy by the next practice. But I don't think over the whole season we ever had two guys that were like enemies. At least not that the coaching staff knew about.
For sure, for sure. So have you? I mean, I'm sure you've had to deal with this. A kid comes in, they think they're the shit, and then you're like, okay, all right, why don't you work with us? So and so has been on the team for like 3 or 4 years, and then they murk them, and then they get humbled. I'm sure you've dealt with that.
Yeah. With wrestling, it's nice because we do have two separate practices, so we don't really get too many of those kind of crossovers where you got the stud senior like picking on freshmen or sophomores because they're in separate practices. But every once in a while, kid does well at a JV tournament, and he's like all feeling big and badass, and I took first place in the JV tournament. No, I'm Sean Tyner. Look at me.
Sean Tyner, the greatest JV wrestler in history, dude.
And then they go, Coach Kenny comes up. He's like, hey, just want to let you know I'm bringing so and so to the varsity room for this week. I'm like, cool, varsity practice, let's go. JV practice after varsity, so I pull up and I see my JV wrestler in the varsity room just beat. He is sweating. He's red faced. He's looking all sore and bumped and bruised. And I'm like, hey, how'd it go today? He's like, man, this is a lot tougher. And I was like, yep. Told you, it's not just about technique and working the moves. You're getting the real workouts in now on the varsity level. So I think that there's definitely that kind of humbling experience when you go from working with somebody more your level to somebody who's a lot better than you. Just the pace of practice and the pace of change in the sport.
No, absolutely, I dig it, man. So, do you see a little bit of yourself in any of the kids you coach, whether it be like the way you would run a route on the field or the way you would hit a move on the mat, anything like that?
I think you naturally, like for football, like I was a quarterback, so I naturally tend to lean towards kids that possess the qualities that I have because I think it's easier to coach the qualities that I have. I wasn't the most athletic, running quarterback in the world. I ran when I had to, and I avoided it when I could. So I'm not necessarily looking for a kid. Not that a kid that has that wouldn't be able to, be a great fit, but like I naturally find kids a little more cerebral. Like I can talk to you about football and you understand me, and we can have a conversation. And then kids with talent are just talented. You just gotta learn to work with those kids regardless, because those are the kids that are gonna win you some games and they're gonna get on the field. But I think it's natural to find kids that definitely have similar qualities. And then for wrestling, like especially with the freshmen, I look at kids and I'm like, who are you gonna be in 4 years? You can already see that with some of the young guys. Like 106 pounder, 113 pounder, I was like first month or so, I was like, yeah, this kid gets it. He ended up going to the varsity room really quickly, and you see like that's a kid who's motivated, that has a shot at being a captain his senior year. So I think it's those qualities that I kind of see more at a younger age for wrestling than I do. I mean, I worked with the JV guys, so I saw those guys on a more regular basis. So those are the things that I think I resonated with a little bit.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. Do you see any traits from former teammates that you see in some of your kids? Like, kids on the mat, oh, dude, Andres used to do that. I can see that in you. Or they're the JV king. They're a Sean Tyner.
I think that I could, if I sat and like try to figure them out, I think I could definitely peg some things that paired up with people. But I definitely don't think about it as much, especially because it's been so long. And I think any of those things would come from from like negative things, which sucks. If I'm like, oh, this kid's so lazy, this reminds me of so and so,
Oh,
or
this kid lost 7 matches in a row. He's Phillip. Jesus Christ.
like the different things like that. I did have one kid though cracked me up. He reminded me of Felipe.
I just saw Felipe this year,
No
dude.
kidding.
Yes, I saw him at a Comic-Con in Stockton when I was doing an interview for my wrestling pod. He lost a lot of weight, dude.
Dude, he looks good.
Yeah, he
He's
looks
looking real good.
compared to what he used to look like. He kind of looks anorexic. It's like
Yeah, that's the guy who came in big and was like, I'm here because I want to lose weight. And even after he left, graduated, he like even lost more weight. Like he's probably like 175 now, and he came in at like over 200, like a lot over 200. I think he was a heavyweight when he first came in.
yeah. So you said you had a kid that reminds you of Felipe?
Oh yeah. We go out to breakfast at one of these spots, and we're having all these meals, and this kid forgets, just so forgetful. He always forgets something. When you wrestle, you need three things. You need your shoes, you need your headgear, and you need your singlet. That's it. Mouthpiece if you got braces. But you need three things. The first 4 events he managed to bring 2 of the 3 things. I knew, he's borrowing. Whatever. We go out to breakfast, and we're sitting there, and he's like, I'd like to order this meal, whatever, this breakfast. And the lady's like, okay, how would you like your eggs? And he was like, what do you mean? She was like, how would you like your eggs cooked? And he was like, you mean like medium rare? And I was dying. I'm at a table with all these kids, and I could not hold it in. I was just like, oh my God, he wants them scrambled. Like, it was hilarious, and it just reminded me of Felipe so much because Felipe would just come off with those random off kilter comments, just like, oh, we got hydration. He's like, I drank 2 gallons of water. And he like almost pissed himself in the car on the way there. It's like funny things like that just kind of reminded me of Felipe.
Oh my, medium rare. Dude,
that just sounds so nasty.
I got a great Felipe one, bro. It's like after he graduated, it's our senior year. He comes back, and he's talking to Jason Andres and I, and we're like, dude, how'd you lose so much weight? He's like, oh, I ran in my room. I'm like, wait, what? Like just
like what?
Just like ran around in your room, dude. Oh, Felipe, what a character! What a great
funny guy,
though,
funny
man.
guy.
Absolutely. So I guess to kind of wrap things up, dude. What lessons or drills have you taken from the people that coached you, and how have you worked that into your coaching repertoire?
Do you mean this from like a technical standpoint, or do you mean this from like a motivational standpoint, or like anything in particular?
Kind of all encompassing, dude. Technical, motivational, personal. Like what have you learned from the people that helped to get you to the accolades you achieved on the mat and on the field?
I think you have a positive or a negative experience, like everything you learn from coaches, positive or negative, and you kind of take something away regardless. If you have a good experience with a coach or a bad experience with a coach, there's going to be something that you benefit from as long as you have that mindset, that outlook. So there's definitely coaches like I loved my personal relationship with Coach P that I was able to develop over my years in high school, just on a mental love of the game of football basis. Like he knew that I understood the game, and he wanted to talk to me as if I understood the game. He wasn't, he didn't talk to me like I was 17. He talked to me like I was a person who understood football. And I think that's something that I really valued as a player that I've tried to carry over is kids are smart, man. Like the kids only have so much knowledge because they've only had so much experience. But if I can sit down and explain something to a kid and he can get it, like I should explain it to him the same way I would explain it to a fellow coach, or I would explain it to a friend, or I would explain it to somebody who didn't know anything about it. You gotta give the kids the benefit of the doubt that there's some smart kids and they can really learn, and you can kind of raise them up and hold them to a higher standard by treating them like they can learn in that way. I think there's, especially with a lot of older coaches, there's the propensity to like kind of look down upon or kind of talk down to younger coaches or younger athletes because you've been coaching 25, 30 years, and you have all this knowledge. But I don't see any benefit in that. If I can talk to a kid and kind of speak to him like he's just like another lover of the sport or lover of the game or whatever, then I think that is a quality that I've definitely taken from Coach P, and just like the tenacity that comes with coaching. It's not a half-assed thing. When you really got to get into it, and if you're not into it, then the kids aren't into it.
Absolutely.
If you don't buy in, they don't buy in. So I think just kind of giving that mental commitment and not getting a part of something that you don't necessarily want to be a part of is important, because plenty of coaches who could care less, they just, they're there, maybe it's for a stipend, or, they're there for just the title of being a coach, or, maybe they're like the power of like what comes with coaching. But I really think that just like getting after it and really getting into it and allowing the kids to see that and be like, hey, like I did this, I'm watching these videos, I'm prepping for this off-season stuff, I'm sending you this and I'm sending you that. Or that is something I think I learned from other coaches as well, is you really got to buy in, and you got to want it almost more than the kids want it, because you got to want it for them and for yourself through them. You don't get to play anymore. You just gotta live through them.
Yeah. I think some coaches do kind of make it more about them, and that's not what it's about. It's not about you, even though you're the constant that's there at practice every day. It's about getting these kids to learn, the sport, and let them have fun, let them love the game or the sport or whatever they're playing.
Yeah, it's about the life skills that come with the sport. It's about what it teaches you. Like football and wrestling are two great examples of that. That you really learn the game of life in the game of football, and with wrestling, I think that brotherhood and that family bonding that you talked about, like, is more than any other sport I've been a part of. Because I've graduated 2014. It's been 6 years. Wrestlers are the only guys I talk to from high school.
Absolutely, this is the perfect example right here.
Exactly. Like, it's been how many years, and we still hit each other up when we're in town. Go grab a beer. Go to an event, or like try and do something, or get on the podcast now. Like, it's
There
just
we go,
it's
man.
great, and I think that is what can come from coaches who kind of foster that kind of relationship with their kids and with the teammates.
Yes, a good coach. Good coaches, man. The relationships they have with the kids they've coached, it spans beyond them being in high school. Like, before I started coaching, I'd go hit up Rose and chill with him at a practice, or your dad, stuff like that, man. Just good people.
Yeah, just being welcoming, being inviting. Yeah, because eventually, like, yes, you're teaching kids. They're 14 to 17, 18, but like in a couple of years, they're adults. Like they're gonna be old enough. They're gonna see you downtown. They're gonna be able to hang out with you, and I think definitely the relationships that you build when they're at that age can totally carry over.
Absolutely. So, what aspects of coaching did you learn from Justin and Rose that you've incorporated over into wrestling?
I think learning how to have fun with practice and kind of keeping the mood light and the joking and all that, I definitely learned from my dad. Like, just he is him all the time. He doesn't change for anybody. He's the same way at the house. He's the same way at practice. He's the same way everywhere. And I really like that he has that kind of personality, and I try and be myself as much as I can when I'm around the kids too. That being said, I do turn it down a little bit because I think my dad went a little far sometimes with us.
Oh,
But
tell me about it. And you don't know how many days I went home from practice crying. No, but your dad, like you said, he doesn't turn it off for anybody, and that it's kind of what just made it fun. That friendly environment, like, oh, we can joke in here, okay, but it wasn't always a joking matter. There were times where your father can be serious and stuff like that.
exactly, and I like the balance of you can joke and work hard. There's nothing wrong with laughing while you bust your ass. So I
Absolutely.
think I'm definitely taking that from him. And then Rose, dude, Rose is so much more impressive than I think I've let myself think. Like, he's in his 40s. This man still runs competitively. Like, he is a goer. Like, he is one of the most fit guys at that age that I know, and that just comes from that tenacity I was talking about. That he's a go getter. Yes, he coaches and he teaches, but like on his free time, he is getting after it. He's running constantly. And just the fact that
Absolutely.
he's able to compete, and I remember when he turned 39 to 40, and he was so excited because he got to run with the old guys, and he started like placing again and all these meets. It's just cool to like see a guy at that age like really still care about being fit and being athletic and kind of mastering his craft. So I
Absolutely.
think that's something that I've taken that I want to implement into my life. Don't I want to be as much as I can. I want to be involved. I want to get in drills. I want to get in this, and at a certain point, you got to be smart. You got to know your body and not kill yourself. But I want to. I definitely felt more involved with the team and with the program when I was staying active with them. So that's something I want to keep up. Definitely moving forward.
Absolutely, man. I mean, Rose is still getting after it and wrestling kids.
Hey, seriously.
Exactly. I mean, he's what, 46 now. He started wrestling when he was like 5. He's been wrestling for like 40 or 41 years, something like that. And he's just a wealth of knowledge about this sport, man. That's the one thing when I meet up with Rose again. I just want to pick his brain. Like, all right, if you're in this situation, how do you get out of this? And if that doesn't work, what do you go to next? Like he gets it. Like,
He's a fast twitch guy, quick twitch thinker too. He's got a quick mind, and he's wrestling is just
I want
second
to
nature to
I
him.
want to say he's like the Einstein of the sport, man. Like he just I'm gonna throw it out there, man. He just gets it. It's so quick to him, dude. That's what I love about Rose, though. All right, so with all that being said, this is kind of a two-part question. Favorite game and favorite match you've ever coached?
Mm, man, that is tough. Um, Favorite match I ever coached. I had a. It was a junior. Nope, nope. I lie. I'm taking that one back. It's a freshman. I'm going to a different match. I had this kid. He's wrestling at a JV tournament. He was 2-0, doing good going in. I think he's wrestling at 182s. Kid's probably like 5'10", decent size for 182. And he's facing this kid who's like 6'4", just this big, lean kid. He's got glass. This kid's huge. His dad's there. His dad's like 6'8", 6'9". And we were talking to him. We were like, hey, like, you gotta, you gotta just give it your all. He's a freshman. He's been wrestling maybe 2 months. And so he gets in there. First thing, gets taken straight to his back trip, pinned. Comes back over to the side, and he's all disappointed. And I was like, hey, your day's not done. You still got more matches. He wins his next match. He wins another match after that. I thought that's it. 5 matches in a day. You had a great day. You went 4-1. Then I find out the guys who were running the tournament were just like, we're just going to let him wrestle for third place. So I was like, do you want to wrestle? You can have a 6 match, I guess. So he gets a rematch against that kid for third place. And we're going in and we're like, look, this is what he did last time. You got to stay away from this. You got to stay away from that. And he did so well listening and taking the corrections, and he defended against how he got pinned like so quickly the match before. and he ends up grinding out 3 full rounds to get a decision victory against this kid. And it was the most rewarding thing as a coach to like motivate a kid enough to be like, hey, this kid just kicked your ass. 1, don't let it happen again. 2, here's what we got to do. And he just listened so well, and I couldn't have been more proud as a coach in that moment to just see how much growth occurred in a single day. It was awesome.
That's what's up, dude. You know, that's a true comeback story. I love it. So, what about favorite game you've ever coached?
See, that was a little tougher because we didn't have too great of a football season. Yeah, but honestly, favorite game I probably coached was a game we lost by a lot. It was a game at Pacifica High School. It was in like Ventura, like 45 minutes away, and we go to this game, and while I'm at the game, I get a surprise because my dad and my brother drove down from the Bay to like come watch me coach. And this is at the point where I'm just like, it's maybe our second game. I think it's our second game of the year. I'm really not doing a whole lot of anything as a coach. So it was just cool, like having the support, from my family and my girlfriend to come watch me coach. But during that game, we're getting stomped. Pacifica is like a state ranked team. Like they're great, and we're down like I'd say 30 something to nothing in the first half. And so it's a tough game, and I go up to the offense coordinator. I'm talking with him. I'm like, hey, like, I basically gave him a play call, like, and I took the play that we had and I changed it a little bit, and I was like, I think this will work with what they're doing. And he was like, all right, fuck it, like, we're getting stopped, like, might as well. And he calls the play, and the play goes for a 65-yard touchdown. And I was just like, all right, like my first play call went for a touchdown, 65-yard touchdown, and I was just ecstatic. Because like not only like the play call was great, but like the kids executed on a play that they had never run in practice necessarily. They had run like each piece of the play, but we like pieced them together, and there was like an extra motion involved and a different concept that we wouldn't have normally run with that. And the fact that they executed it, and that was our first touchdown of the season because we got shut out on our first game. So it was just cool to like be a part of that, and it made me maybe get chills, maybe want to like get into it more and like be like a play caller one day. So I think that's probably my favorite game that I've coached so far.
That's what's up. All right, now this is personally for you, even more personable. Favorite game you ever played in high school and favorite match you've ever wrestled.
I have a tie for my favorite game because I've talked about this before and I can't pick between the two. Both my senior year football. We played a game against Mount Diablo where I had like career high stat game. It was like insane. I broke like a couple records at our high school. Threw for 420 yards in a game, 5 touchdowns, no picks, and also had the most completions in a game. And then Ray Fat, Ray, he had the most receptions in a game. And like so that was just like the coolest thing because I remember when we got, you send kids out as captains and whatever was happening was going on. And coach looked at me, he was like, go. He's like, just you. Just go. So I walked out there, me, and they had 4 captains on the other side. And it was just the most badass feeling to walk out, shake these 4 dudes' hands by myself, and then put on that kind of a performance. Like, it was amazing. And I thought that it couldn't be topped. Until my last game as a senior, I put it as a tie because we scored 70 points. So, we scored 69 points, but 70 sounds so much better. We took a knee on the extra point to not get 70 because it was like the end of the game. But yeah, that game with 69 and my junior year, it was against Piedmont. We scored 31-0. So in total, I scored 100 points against the team over the course of like 2 years. And that was just like a really cool number and a cool feat to like have accomplished. And to go out with the win your last game as a senior. So definitely good experience with that one.
Damn,
And then
that's amazing. I've never heard that story.
favorite match. I'd say my favorite day period as a wrestler was the only like wrestling tournament that I won. Was the last wrestling tournament my senior year before league. Like I placed first at league, but I don't really count the league tournament. It was at El Camino High School.
I remember that. I had to leave early that day, which I was pissed about.
And
I want to see you take it home, dude.
yeah, just because we were wrestling in the San Francisco section, so when I came in as a North Coast section wrestler, they like jobbed me on the seating, and they like didn't rank me at all, even though I had the most wins in the whole like bracket. They like didn't give me a good ranking, and then they were gonna have me wrestle the 2 seed my first match, I think. So we challenged. We were like, "What the hell? Like this is ridiculous." And they moved it a little bit, but I was still not ranked. And I was like, "Man, whatever." So my first match, I go in, I tech the kid all the way. He's at 14, and then I pin him to get the pin. Then the next match, I have the 3 seed, and I pin him in the first round. I threw him, pinned him. Next, I get the 2 seed, and they were all talking about this guy, how he was the big badass guy from El Camino, and there was their home tournament, and I was like, I'm gonna take this guy. Like, who's gonna throw who? And I ended up throwing him, pinning him. Got to the finals against the 1 seed, and I took him on, and I almost had him pinned in the first round, but he was a super tall, lanky Asian kid, and I couldn't get him, and ended up winning by decision. And it was just the most rewarding feeling because I had never felt so motivated and so like disrespected going into a tournament. And as my last tournament, I was just so ecstatic to like pull out those wins and kind of show them that I deserved to be where I thought I did. And that was great going in. My first tournament I ever won, so that's kind of a nice little notch too.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, like I said in the intro, a hell of an athlete. The 3-sport god. Is baseball on your radar to coach too?
Hell no. I have a different relationship with baseball, mostly because I played baseball for so long. I played from like age like 5. I played for like 13 years, and that's a long time. And I almost stopped playing multiple times. But then it comes around that time, you get that itch, and the guys are like, "Hey, you're not gonna play? Like, come on, you gotta play." And I'm like, "All right, I'll play." But as soon as I finished, like I graduated high school, I knew that I was done playing baseball, and I didn't really want to coach just because it's just such a slow-paced thing. Football, wrestling, they're pretty upbeat, they're up-paced. Baseball is just a lazy sport, and I didn't necessarily want to have that laziness in my life. But I could see myself working with like I was a catcher, so like I could see myself working with a particular kid. But honestly, I think I enjoy off-season football more than I would enjoy like in-season baseball. Like being able to like implement spring ball and summer ball and stuff like that. I think that would be more rewarding for me as a coach. So yeah, probably not baseball.
Wow, I think that does it, man. What a great conversation.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Where can people find you, and where can they find Team Talks?
Oh, definitely. You can find Team Talks basically everywhere. Team Talks podcast on Instagram. My name is Jonathan Sturholm. You can follow me on Instagram at something Sturholm, Sturholm. And yeah, dude, I love what you're doing with your podcast, and I'm loving this idea of this Coach's Lounge. It's going to be really cool seeing the guys you have on and who gets to kind of be featured next, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, I think I might have to keep the Sturholm train going. I think I might have to get your dad on this thing next, dude.
Hey, go for it. I've been trying to get him on mine, too. He's being stubborn. So.
No, when your dad is roasting, he's one of the most charismatic people I've ever met. He just keeps going for it. It just comes to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be great to have on, too.
Absolutely, dude. I'll try to make that happen. Well, John, thank you so much for making this happen, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of what you and Brittany have done with your podcast. Go check me out on there. I was on there about, a month
a
month ago?
Yeah, I think, I can't remember exactly what episode, but yeah, he's definitely in there.
It's in their archive, just wherever you can find podcasts, that's where they are, thanks to Anchor. But, John, I appreciate you, man, and thank you so much.
I appreciate it, brother.